Good morning. I recently ran a 5 mile race in the Asics Metaspeed Edge Tokyo. This was the first time I used these for a race. So my initial run, I took them out for 1 mile, ran a sub 6. They felt super assistive, they felt great, a little bit more bouncy than the outgoing model. But using them in the actual 5 mile race was a little bit different story. So I kind of wanted to make this video as a cautionary tale for someone who's an overpronator or needs stability in a race shoe, because that's something where I feel like this fell a little bit short for me during that race. So first thing, it was a little hot and humid to go racing, but not as bad as it's been most mornings, so I'm not going to complain about that too much. But basically getting into the race, I'm like, all right, 5 miles. I feel like around a 7-minute mile pace is a good thing for me to shoot for right now. I've been faster than that in the past, but I'm kind of at a crossroads of my training where I'd been doing a lot of training that was more marathon focused. So I was really building my base and running slower and just getting better at it. Whereas now I'm trying to do more hill sprints, shorter efforts, repeats, and try and like build my speed up again. So for a 5 mile race, I'm like, all right, let me slow down to around 7-minute pace. So I'll put up my stats from the run here. And if we look at the first mile, I did pretty much exactly what I wanted to do. I ran a 6:59 pace. My heart rate was only 146, so that's zone 2. So cruising along, feeling great. My goal pace is right there. My heart rate isn't elevated. Everything's great. But then I started to feel a little bit in that first mile. One thing that happens with this shoe is, since it is very narrow in the heel and the midfoot here, it does tend to want to roll inwards on you. If you need stability, if you're an overpronator, I feel like the dimensions of this shoe is not going to help you. If you're landing kind of to the midfoot to the heel, it's going to be more likely to roll in on you there. So I was kind of fighting that. The camber of the road was also leaning to one side, so I was trying to get to the one side to kind of help myself with the overpronation, but I was definitely feeling that happening in the second mile. And then my heart rate started to go up. But then what was kind of funny was I settled into my marathon goal pace, because that was kind of still left over in my body from like, all right, what's the pace I run when I'm kind of tired, but I'm going a little bit faster than easy pace. So mile 3, 7:37, which is a 3:20 marathon goal pace. So I was able to hold my marathon goal pace there, but now my heart rate's at 176. So that's zone 4 for me. I'm verging on going into zone 5. And then I just really was feeling it, so I'm slowing down as the race is going on. 7:45 for mile 4. My heart rate stays elevated at that point. But whenever I see that finish line, I always got to do a sprint finish. So I was able to turn it up towards the end of the last mile there. And I ran the last mile the fastest of the race. That ended up being a 6:56. But now my heart rate's 180, so I'm in zone 5 at that point. But looking at the actual stats here, my average pace was 7:21. My best pace, I got up to 4:10 pace at the end, 14.4 miles an hour when I was really sprinting at the finish. I'll put some pictures from the finish line here. I also thought this was kind of funny when I looked at the pictures. The first one that I see, you got the guy next to me, like, who is this giant person that's cruising by me at this fast speed? You can see him looking up at me there like, what the hell is going on? I was really booking it there, and people were actually yelling from the sidelines like, go USA, because I had that jersey on. So my official result was, for my age group, I came in 14th out of 71, 111 out of 1811 overall in the race, 92 out of 793 for my gender. I did it in 36 minutes and 36 seconds. I was hoping to run around 35 minutes if I was running 7 flat, so obviously I wasn't able to do that on the day. Still a decent effort though, I'm okay with that. One thing that was working against me though was that morning I actually did a leg workout, which wasn't the smartest thing the day of a race. I actually didn't want to do the Peloton. I didn't want to do a run. I'm like, let me take it easy this morning, just get some sort of exercise in. So I picked a Peloton exercise that was like strength for runners. So I thought it was just going to be like a total body thing, but it was all like squats and lunges and holding weights. And I'm like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best thing to do the day of a race. So my hamstrings did feel a little tight. My quads were a little sore. I was feeling that leg workout later in the day. Not a smart move. But the reason why I'm making this video today was my initial first impression review of this shoe was all positive, and now I got to put some of those negatives to go along with it. So I think if you're a larger runner, if you're a heavier runner, there's kind of a pro and con of this new foam. Is that softer flight foam Leap, which I later found out actually is aliphatic TPU, which is the same type of foam that Puma uses, whereas this one is PIBA based foam, the flight foam Turbo Plus. But this foam is definitely lighter and bouncier, has more travel. So I could see if someone's a lighter runner, if you use this in a marathon, it's going to give you more energy return. It feels nice and light and bouncy. But one problem I was having being a larger, heavier runner is I was compressing this foam a lot more than I did in the previous model. So it felt kind of sloppy to me. It did have that nice kind of propulsive bounce, but I was really struggling with that overpronation, especially later in the race. And when I got to the finish line, it was pushing really hard. I was running as hard as I could. I felt like I was gonna like explode out of the shoe. There felt like there was a little bit too much room in the toe box, so I felt like my foot was moving around in there. The shoe was compressing so much it like didn't know what to do with the amount of force I was putting into it as I was sprinting to the finish. So my initial thoughts with the Edge Tokyo was that I preferred that soft bouncy feeling over the Edge Paris, but now having used it in a race, I'm going to change my initial opinion there and go back to this one. Having that firmer foam is actually more stable to me, less squishy, less moving around torsionally, and the upper is a tighter fit. I really had a better kind of lockdown, less moving around in this shoe. So initially I was high on that one with the way that foam felt, but then actually using it in a race, now I'm kind of going to go back on what I said and prefer the Edge Paris. So I'm still going to compare this shoe to some of the top speed shoes that I have. This is still the lightest shoe that I have, but right behind it is the Puma Fast R3 over there. So I'm going to do those two head to head, and I think what I'm going to do is give them a little bit more mileage in each one. Like I'll try and run a few different paces each mile and see how the shoe feels to me at each mile, where I'm running a little bit slower, picking it up, and then going all out, how those two shoes really compare. So I'll be making a video on that soon. So let me know in the comments if you've run in the Edge Paris or the Edge Tokyo and how you think they compare. Again, to me, this one's a little bit lighter, but that Flight Foam Leap Foam being so soft and bouncy is really a pro and a con. From a stability standpoint, I think it hurts the shoe. From a bounce and good feeling standpoint, I think it helps the shoe. But for me, as a larger runner, there's no way I would take this for a marathon. It felt too sloppy for me, not supportive enough, and I was really struggling with that right foot wanting to turn in because of the softness of the foam and the narrowness in the heel of the shoe. Look for a video coming up soon where I match this up with the Fast R3 and see which one is the fastest of the light shoes that I have. I'll see you in the next one.